Hello and welcome to the return of It's All Gone South. It's been a while. I'm joined by Darren, who is a football manager, National League South expert, my line manager, actually, technically. And we're going to go through, or Darren more likely, is going to go through the National League South teams. Then we're going to sort of preview what should be, well, I don't know if it'll be quite as exciting as last year, but it's going to be another good one, isn't it, Darren?
It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it, the league this year? I've seen so many different predictions of people, putting some clubs in the playoffs, some in the bottom four. It's just, it's a
Well,
very
you
competitive
seem to
league.
put a certain team game of tea first in yours, but we're fine now. That's why I invited you back on more than anything.
I knew it'd get me a ticket.
Right, so we're going to go through all the teams. So this is obviously from a Torquay fan's perspective or whoever, just to get a bit more educated on the other teams as well. It's just very interesting. Also been very exciting summer from a Torquay perspective again, but we're also very much aware about the competition, and we're going to start with AFC Totton. Tell me about their summer. Tell me about how they're feeling. Going through or how you feel about them.
Yeah, I think Tottenham are quite a ambitious club. They finished second last year, um, behind a very good Merthyr team. I think if someone would have been if Merthyr was taken out, Tottenham would have run away with it.
Yeah,
But yeah, and they've got a lot of good experience in that side that have played this level before. Sam Magri, Joe Osler,
yeah.
Craig Tanner, people like that. And they've added quite well in terms of Lee Hodson from Eastleigh. Obviously, they've got the name of J. Emmanuel Thomas
Yeah, that was an interesting
back in the
one.
squad. Bit of controversy about that,
Yeah,
but at football terms, it's a pretty good pickup.
yeah,
Um,
it's amazing
and
pickup.
it is, yeah. And obviously, Tony Lee up front will always score you goals. And I've got a good feeling for Malachi Linton this year as well. I think he was a good prospect when he was at
Yeah,
Yeovil, and he
I
kind of
remember him. Yeah,
yeah, and he's kind of hidden away a little bit in terms of progressing that career. He did all right at
mm,
Weymouth last year, but he started off really well in pre-season, and they're still bringing players in. Tyler Cordner's coming on loan. Um, yeah, I think they'll be fine next year. I think they'll cause a few problems for teams.
Bath obviously taking a couple who were at Torquay last year. Interesting. What are your thoughts about them going into the new season?
Do you know what? In my prediction video that I did, I've got them in the bottom
We'll
four.
link it. We'll link it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've got them in the bottom four, and I wouldn't put money on it because they do have some quality. Obviously, Jenkins Davies, who was at you guys last year,
Mhm.
that's a massive pickup for Bath City. They must have gone out quite well to get him in on the books. And I do like the goalkeeper. I think Wiles Richards is very good,
Yeah,
and they've got the quality of Ewan Clark, and Brad Ash is a very good player at
yeah.
this level. And I know he wasn't totally dreadful at Torquay, but
Yeah, that's a good moment. Very crucial moment, especially in that first season.
yeah, and I think he got experience of Weymouth. He had the year before. He's a very good player. My only concern with Bath is his goals. So yes, Scott Wilson's there, getting into his golden age now, but and they have obviously brought in Ash as well, but they were the third lowest goal scorers last year out of the
Yeah.
whole division, and that didn't really change when Gill left and Darren Way came
Mm.
in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Bath will struggle a little bit. Maybe not the bottom four after looking at the squad a little bit more in depth, but I do think they will struggle.
Chelmsford next, a team of, again, well, as an ex-hockey player there, they've definitely brought some talent in, haven't they?
They certainly have, and I think they're a little bit. If we compare it to Torquay last season,
Yeah.
I think they're a club that's starting from scratch. I think only one player has transitioned into that full time football that they had last year, with Tamplin, and obviously, yeah, they have gone full time. They've got a massive sponsorship deal that they've gone in at the club. Everything looks really good. They've got players like Odesanya that's become club captain. They broke their transfer record fees as well this summer with bringing in Grimwood from Barnet. They got one of my favourite players, Josh Hedges. I'm sure I've mentioned him to you a few times. But they've just got so much quality, and they've still got that experience as well. I think Chelmsford have got to be in that playoff position, haven't they? I mean,
Yeah. It's just whether it'll gel. That's what it's about now, isn't it?
and it's
Yeah.
how quick that works.
Yeah.
I think they're probably still one or two away from getting a full squad in there. But Angelo Harrop's done it before. And, the recruitment that has always been great there, even
Mm.
previously before this summer. So, yeah, I envisage Chelmsford doing really well. It's just, as you said, Sam, how quick that gels.
Chesham. I don't have Harry here for this year's episode.
Yes,
Harry would be here, but he's now a dad, and somehow those are the priorities these days. Just fair
I
enough.
can't believe it.
But he was another expert anymore for Chesham. But tell me what you know about Chesham, Darren.
Yeah, I think I had a conversation with Harry actually a couple of months ago when the window started and the players were starting coming in through the door in Chesham, and it felt a little bit low key compared
Mm.
to what they had and the players that they have lost this summer as well. But I think on the balance, I think they have got a pretty good squad. Obviously, they finished 13th last year. I don't think they were ever in trouble. Really, they had a little bit of a tough start, but Lafleur's still there. They've got Minas up front. They've got the likes of Bayliss they've brought in. And I think, Gio Rasulo, I think he's a magnificent footballer. Didn't have a great year at St Albans last year, but I think on the balance of their squad, I think Chesham will be absolutely fine again. And I've seen a lot of predictions have them in the bottom four. I think a lot of that is based off what Aveley did in terms of that second season,
Yeah.
people finding them out. But the way Chesham play, I just don't see them being in trouble next year.
Well, unless they don't adapt to their multi-ball and non-time wasting play, that's what I can say. I was alright for Cheshire until they beat Torquay. But we're over that. That was not an annoying game of
Might
football
bring
at
some
all.
super glue in to stop the balls from going in so quickly.
Right, we're fine. I'm over it. Right, into the next
Sounds
one.
it.
Into Chippenham Town. Chippenham,
Yeah.
always a well-run unit, but how are they looking this year?
Yeah, again, same with Bath. I've got Chippenham to go down, but I would hate to, put that in format of a bet
Mm.
or whatever you want to do. But Chippenham are always deliver, don't they? And
Yeah.
Gary Horgan has that squad so well drilled. I'm really excited with Olaf Koscielny up front. I think,
Mm.
his 28 goals for Dorchester last season. I think he can, and I think with a player up front that he's got in Ezio Torre as well, that will bring him into play as well
Yeah.
because, Koscielny's not really that front man that plays, up front on his own. But yeah, I'm excited for him in terms of the players that they've got, and they've got a lot of younger players, Palfrey, Colwell. They're always good at churning through young players, Chippenham. But, they need a better start than last year for me. I think they won 2 of their first 10 last season.
Mhm.
I think if they have a slow start like that again this season with the strength of it, I think they could get lost a little bit down nearer the bottom with the bottom 6 and 7. So, yeah, I'm expecting them to struggle, but you could never write them off, can you?
Next one, I'm really interested in because obviously there's been a lot of news in the mainstream press. Certain Andy Carroll. We don't think we'd be processing that on Football Manager, would we? At some point. But Dagenham and Redbridge, away from the Andy Carroll stuff,
Mm.
is the rest of the squad looking like? And is it as, Qatari investment, all stuff like that? Is it as that seems? Or is it a case of they're still building the squad, in your opinion?
I think they're still building.
Yeah.
I think you can see, they brought a fantastic player in Dieng in this week
Yeah.
who is an exceptional player for this division. If he stays fit all season, that's a magnificent signing. And with Andy Carroll, yeah, all right, he's the headline. But don't forget they've got Donovan Wilson and Ashley Hemmings as well. Hemmings was top
Mm.
scorer in the North
Yeah.
last year. Donovan Wilson has been playing Football League. I don't think, as a balanced squad, I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they've got a few that they probably need to bring in, and it'd be interesting to see how some of the players develop, like the Rashawn Scott, who they got in, who fell down a little bit after his release from Chelsea when he was younger, and he's
Mm.
coming back through the ranks. But Bradbury's done it before. He got Haven promoted out of this division. Jerry Gill is a number 2, knows this league
Yeah.
at the back of his hand. So they've got a good leadership team in there.
Yeah.
I don't see Dagenham being a club that will go on a run to be near the top all the time, but I don't think they'll be out of the playoff places. It's kind of, I think they're a building side rather
Yeah.
than straight away.
Yeah. Have they still got a lot of last season's core at all, or is it still quite a new squad?
Yeah, they've got a few players that are still in there,
It's
but
just
I
how they
think
adapt to it, isn't it? From that losing mentality over to
yeah,
new
it
ones.
is,
Yeah,
and I think a
we had
couple
that
of
Torquay
players
a
that
couple of
they would
years
have
ago.
loved to keep, like your Josh Reese and stuff. They've lost him to Hornchurch, and I think if you added him to that midfield, it would look a lot stronger. But they do have some good experience. Panther and Magoma at the back are two exceptional players for this level. But I still think they probably need a few more. But this is the first time they've played at this level. I think since 1999 or something. And I think when you looked at that league in '99
I
compared to
was born
now,
that year.
with you remember it then?
Yeah,
Yeah. The strength of it in terms of the money that's pumped into that league
it's
now is
mad now.
crazy.
Yeah, well, it is just getting closer and closer to the National League now, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, we had that conversation for us and yesterday actually on the episode. So yeah, that it just shows it's great from the strength of the pyramid almost in a way, but then when you're still looking at what's happened to Morecambe and stuff like that, it's the imbalance still, isn't it? So
it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
it's um it's a tricky one, but yeah, we'll see. Into the next one, always never far from the spotlight of media of some sort. It has been a bit quieter this year, I feel like. Dorking Wanderers, what do you make of their chances?
Yeah, so I think we spoke last year, didn't they? They were going into last year as probably the favourites to win
Yeah,
the league last year. Obviously, the well publicised injuries didn't help them last year, and I think their home form was not fantastic.
yeah,
They've recruited in terms of a small amount, but quality. I mean, Louis Ainsley's come in, but I think he's injured already.
yeah.
And I think Mark White's very loyal to who he has in that squad with people that he knows that has got him out of this position before. I
Mhm.
think that either works really well for him this year in terms of the players that he's got. I mean, don't get me wrong, Rutherford, Pryor, Carter, they're still a good enough bunch to get you out of
Mm.
this league.
Yeah,
I mean, I've predicted them to be second, but do you know what? If they finish lower towards the back end of the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised either because
mm.
sometimes the loyalty can get in the way in terms of
Yeah,
refreshing that squad.
yeah.
But Mark White knows what he's doing, doesn't he? I mean, he's not a stupid guy, and I'm sure he'll have them ready for the start of the season. But yeah, I would have expected a few more, but there's still time to bring a couple more bodies in.
Newly promoted team back to this division. Not a bogey team for Torquay, but it's never been the nicest away experience for them quite a few times over the years. Dover Athletic.
I mean, I imagine your chances would have been quite strong a couple of years ago, and they only won 4 all season.
Yeah,
It's just I'm delighted for the supporters because Dover have had a pretty miserable few
yeah.
years.
Turned it around well.
Um, yeah, and I was it was funny actually because I'm quite local to Chichester City, and
Mhm.
I was at their game on the last day of the season. And if Chichester won and Dover didn't, Chichester would have been in the playoffs and Dover
Yeah,
wouldn't. So they didn't do it the easy way in terms of
no.
promotion, but they did get there. And in Suarez Junior, they've got an exceptional, talented player that
Mm.
scored over 20 goals last year that can really push them forward with the players like Nick Ash and players like that as well. I think Dover. I think they'll be within that relegation conversation all season, but I
Yeah,
think they've probably just got enough. In terms of that squad, maybe a couple of additional players to just bolster that midfield a little bit. But yeah, I think Dover, I've got them to survive, but I don't think it'd be a really pretty easygoing season.
Eastbourne Borough. Interesting one.
Mm.
A bit of voice there. Interesting one. Obviously losing their manager. But still had such a strong season last year, didn't they? As you know, these teams have continuity plans and all that. Well, how do you rate their chances this season?
1 point off the title,
Yeah,
Eastbourne last year. I mean, incredible season. And I think the manager going is a huge blow.
yeah,
Obviously, they didn't lose him for footballing reasons; it was
yeah.
personal reasons. That he wanted.
Locations on it, yeah,
Yeah, so that's pretty gutting. I mean, but they brought in Matt Gray, who's done it before.
yeah.
He's got enough experience. Do I think they'll be as strong and as close this year? No. Do I think they'll still be near the top and fighting for the playoff places? Yes. I think they've got Gary Alexander, who hit 4 hat tricks last season. Always knows where the goal is. They've got a couple of loans up front that are a little bit untrialed, but Yeah, I'm not sure. I was really looking forward to watching Bamba this year. I thought we had a year last year where he wasn't as creative as he was when he first joined Eastbourne, but he got his move to Forest Green, and obviously a couple of the lads have followed the manager elsewhere as well. So, yeah, I think Matt Gray's brought in some players that he knows and trusts. People like Craig Eastbourne, sorry, and they'll be around the playoffs. I just don't think they'll be as strong as last season.
Into the next team, Ebbsfleet United, obviously absolutely romped this league. Come back down, obviously lost a lot
Yeah.
of their best players, didn't they? But come back down without, a bit of a whimper. But then they're going to be a threat again, surely.
You'd think so, yeah. I think you would put money on Ebbsfleet being at least top 4 or 5. Yeah, like you said, over 100 points last time they were in this league. But then they won 3 games all of last season.
Yeah.
I think the big question mark for Ebbsfleet is the manager, isn't it? Josh Wright. He's not. It's a bit like I mentioned in my video, actually. When Maidstone came down with Elokobi, it was a very tough start to management for Elokobi when they came down, and there was a lot of question marks about will this lack of experience do anything to damage their chances of going back up? And I think that question mark's still there for Josh Wright. What he's done is, though, he's brought in so much quality. Max Amer from Gillingham, such a leader that I'm no doubt, I think they've already announced it, that he'll be club captain. Kwesi Appiah scored tons of goals last year for Boreham Wood, and he didn't play. He was about 10 games short of playing every game as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they've got a strong squad. I think a little bit like Dagenham, have they got the right blend in terms of the players? But they still have so much quality in that squad, and yeah, they'd be very disappointed if they weren't in and around top place at the end of the season.
Enfield Town played Torquay at the weekend. Same first fixture as last year. Hopefully we won't go
Yes,
1-0 down in 4 minutes. It
1-0
was a
down,
good
yeah.
one. I opened it. I was like, oh, they've shared last year's again. That's silly. But that's what Enfield. But yeah, how do you make of their chances this season?
I think most of the predictions that I've watched have got Enfield in the bottom 4.
Yeah.
I didn't on mine. I think they were 3 points off the bottom 4 last year, finishing in 19th, which is for a newly promoted club. That's pretty decent. They haven't got the biggest squad, but I'm quite happy with the players that they've retained. The players like Leonard in midfield is a very good player, and I think the acquisition of Tommy Wood will work a lot better in McPherson's the way he plays. Donaldson, Jones. I think Boulas they brought in on loan from Leyton Orient this week. Had a very good loan at Dartford last year. I think there'll be a little bit same conversation as Dover, as I mentioned just now. I think they'll have that relegation worry quite a lot, but I think Enfield will be fine next season. I've got a strong feeling that they'll doubt a lot of people will get knocked to their doubts next year.
Farnborough, interesting team, interesting season last year. What do you make of their ambitions and their hopes this year?
Yeah, and another squad that's had a big turnaround. I think they've spent a lot bigger budget than they did last year. They'd have to bring in players like Polion and Rakesh Bingham, Billy Clifford. I mean, Lachlan Bird's a fantastic addition to the back line with Lomas as well. I always get burnt fingers with Farnborough. I always predict them to have a good season ever since they've been promoted and get into those playoff places, and they always let me down. But and I don't have them in the playoff places this time. Maybe I've done it as a bit of a subconscious thing, but they have got a good squad. They've got a really decent squad, and I know Spencer Day will be aching to get into those playoff places to have a good season, and there's no reason why they can't. I just feel like there's probably 7 or 8 stronger teams than them at the moment. But even like bringing players like Bloomfield back as well. I mean, he's been scoring loads in pre-season, so that'll do his confidence well. But yeah, Farnborough are always a threat whenever you play them, aren't they?
Right, Hampton and Richmond. Always a bit of concern. There's a lot of concern last season. They stayed up.
Yeah, I think the positive from them is that they've got a little bit more positive news off the pitch. But on it, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got them in one of my bottom 4 places to go down, and such a massive club for National League South level to be getting relegated. But we've lost the likes of St Albans last year, and people like that. It does happen. Yeah, I mean, I think it was at the Christmas time. They were about mid-table, weren't they? They were doing really,
Yeah,
really well, and they just
fell
crashed
off. Yeah,
towards.
they beat us and then they just crashed.
Yeah, well,
And
there you go. They won their cup final, Sam, didn't they?
everyone's got
Um,
final. God.
yeah, but yeah, no, I think Hampton will struggle next year. They
Yeah,
have, Flaherty, who's come in. I think he could be someone that will go under the radar to get a lot of goals next year. And I think Radari's someone that always knows where to score. And if you said 3 years ago, Grego Cox and Rowan Ince would be playing at this level, anyone
yeah,
that had them would be near the top. So they have got quality. Um, I just worry about the lack of amount of quality around the
yeah.
pitch and the churn around of some of the players that they lost this summer. And there's just so many strong squads in this league. It's very hard to predict who's going to struggle and who's not.
Yeah, and another one. This is the most mad season last season. Hemel Hempstead. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
remember the last time they were like, crikey, they're incredible, and then they've just lost every game. Like, I know it's an inconsistent league, but that was ridiculous. Yeah, what's their summer been like?
A bit like last summer.
Mm,
So a huge turnaround of players. Got it all done early.
yeah,
Um, and really worked last year. I think Bobby Wilkinson brought in like 16, 17 players in the summer last year. And I think after 8 or 9 games, they were top and sitting pretty in loving life. And a bit like Hampton's back end of the season, it just went wrong, didn't it? They just lost every game and they ended up being around mid-table. I think Hemel will look a lot stronger this year. I think they've got probably a better recruitment plan behind them this year than they did last. I'm a big fan of Matthews Lewis. I think he'll score a few goals. He had a loan spell there from Farnborough last year. A lot of experience. Villete's come in there. They've got Anderson. Obviously, still got Carla Jai at the back.
mm,
And they've got a lot of young players as well coming through that have done it at the step below that probably look like they will probably be able to do it at this level as well. So I think it's exciting for Hemel. I think can they outmuscle some of the big names into those playoff places? Time will tell. But I think it's exciting to have down at Hemel this year.
now another very interesting one. Hornchurch.
Mm.
It's made some signings, haven't they?
Yes, very impressive. I think their summer's been one of the best because I think when name wise, when you look at it, a lot of players will probably, a lot of clubs will probably take the plaudits for it. But for me, I've had a few comments in my video for having Hornchurch sitting inside the playoffs. I think they could be that side that break into it this year. I do, and I
Hmm.
think Josh Reese is signing from Dagenham,
Yeah,
plenty of goals. I think Joe Taylor, he's got 30 plus goals. Yes, not at this level in the last 4 seasons, and he just bangs in goals. A load of experience in there. Darren McQueen got a few towards the end of last season. I'm really impressed with Henry Hearn, who they've got from Millwall, had a loan spell there last year and made it permanent. They've got Charlie Ruff as well. And with Ruff, Reese, and players like that, I mean, they'll score goals.
Horsham, newly
Mm,
promoted. It's
yeah.
gonna be an interesting one.
Yeah, and I think they beat Billericay, didn't they? 6-0 the other day in pre-season. So they've continued in terms of their attacking football. They press so well. And I think they'll cause a few headaches for teams this year.
Yeah,
Um, yes, their recruitment hasn't been massive. I think that just attackers that they've brought in, James Roberts, I think Botti they signed. Obviously, they got Reece Murphy, who will he stay fit for long? It's always a big question mark for
yeah,
him this year. But they've got a base of that midfield that just press and run. Rodriguez, Hester Cook, Hammond, Meekums. They've got players all over that midfield that can do things and hurt you in the blink of an eye. And I think Horsham, while they've always been a club that, even in cup runs, beating teams that are higher up in the pyramid, this is a little bit different where they've now got to go to that level every single week. But they
yeah.
won the league last year, and I think again, I think Horsham will stay up at the same time as being in that relegation picture for most of the season. But I think they've got enough, and I think the way they play football and the way they attack teams will do them well this season.
Now the next team, it's an interesting one because from the outside point of view, I think Maidenhead got a lot of money from the Max Kilman sell-on, and you thought, they're going to do, progress a little bit, or at least solidify more National League. And next, thing you know, they've been relegated. despite obviously flirting with it for some time. How's their pre-season been?
Yeah, it's a weird one for me, Maidenhead, because they've lost some key players you go into when you drop down a division. But Alan Devonshire had them in there for like 8 years, and at part
Yeah,
time as well. Still,
yeah,
um, it's a magnificent achievement to stay at the National League level, and kind of what Wilston are doing at the moment in there at the moment. But yeah, I don't honestly don't know where to put Maidenhead. I think there's a part of me that thinks they could struggle, but then some of their recruitment that they've done in the last few weeks. I mean, Asher Yearwood was so good at Gosport last season, and so
yeah,
deserves a step up. I think it'd be brilliant. And I was a massive fan of Reguet, left back at Salisbury last season. I thought he was fantastic.
yeah.
And they've got Dawson in from Cheltenham up front, who definitely will be a handful in this division. I know Dagenham fans would disagree, but Josh Amira um, should score a bag full in this league.
Torquay fans might struggle to agree as well.
Yeah, so he
It's
gets a
nice
lot of
work
slack.
ethic, but
He
I
gets a
think
lot of
quite
slack,
worthless.
Amira.
He's done well at times though. It's a player though.
Yeah, and do you know what? His goal scoring figures aren't that bad.
No,
And he got a big move a couple of years ago. Um, so if you give him service, he's going to score.
confidence player I think as well a bit. But
Yeah,
he's got it there. He's got it there. It just did not work at Torquay. From Maidenhead to Maidstone.
yeah.
What's their summer been like?
I think they're weaker. I think they're
Okay.
weaker this year. I don't see them being near the playoffs this season. If I'm honest with you, I think they've lost such a huge amount of talent. Obviously, Aaron Blair's gone, Ben Brooks has gone, Weck has gone from the back, and a lot of the players they've signed, while they could work out, and I'm a big fan of Ella Kobe. I think he can get them going and hopefully get that squad balance. But they've got a lot of players that they've brought in with big question marks at this level.
Right.
And I think while they've had the National League South experience, they haven't always had, a good turnaround in terms of fortunes for the players that they've brought in. They've still got quality, and they've brought in players like Gilbert from Slough and Beedon, and they have got some quality. But for me, there's too many question marks for Maidstone.
Yeah.
And I just see them being around mid-table this season. A little bit of a kick on from losing that playoff final last year, because
Mm.
had the conversation, didn't we, at the start of last season? I had them to win the league. They started appallingly last season. They were, took ages for them to get going, and I thought they were going to turn it around by winning in the playoffs, but it wasn't to be. And I think that's the fallout they've had this summer.
Salisbury did well last season. Do you reckon they're going
Yep.
to back it up again this season?
It's another club with that takeover, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ali Al Hamad that takes Salisbury over has given him some cash as well, hasn't he? So they've brought in a lot of players that are very good. I'm a big fan of Josh Keir. I think he's an exceptional player that was at Hampton last year, and I think he can grow this year. And Tommy Lee Higgs as well, 20 goals for a relegated side in Bognor last season. And then they go out and signed Matty Taylor from Cheltenham, who's just scored bags of goals, and then in the Football League, and Tom Davies from Tranmere, who's got plenty of
Yeah.
experience in the Football League as well. So Salisbury will win a lot of big games next season, and they're just not going to struggle. Be interesting to see whether one or two more big names come in, because I think
Yeah.
that could make the difference for them to have that playoff push. But yeah, I'd say around mid-table at the moment. I think it's a year to build to get to next summer, but I think it's clear that the investment's there, and I think it'll be an exciting time for Salisbury, and
Yeah.
hopefully at some point, albeit not the same name, they can get back to the National League.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say another club that's rebuilt so well
Yeah.
after past issues. Right. Slough. Always an interesting one. You go there, make a joke about David Brent, go home. But no, Slough, what do you reckon
Day's
Slough are going
done.
to do? Day's done.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, they've had a year where they've lost players to full-time football and the step above. They they educate players so well at Slough that people really trust given them their youngsters, and they've got a few more great youngsters to look out
Yeah.
for this year. I think this youngster Jared Myers has pulled himself up a couple of steps this year and looks a very exciting winger. Markowski scores a hell of a lot of goals up front, and then they've still got the player manager as well, who just every year I think Slough get the stick of smallest club in the league, will probably get relegated.
Yeah.
And they still get it right. I think their home form's got to be vital. They were unbeaten for a hell of a lot a couple of years ago. And I think they need to make Arbor Park very strong again
Yeah.
to stop them from being near the bottom. I don't think they'll go down. I think they'll be lower than they were last year. But they've still got a decent squad, and with Scott Davies, anything's possible.
Tonbridge Angels. What are your thoughts of them this season?
I think a year of struggle, if I'm honest. I think Jay Saunders was such a big highlight for Tonbridge, and while Craig Nelson hasn't done anything wrong right now, I do have them struggling. In fact, I've predicted them to finish bottom. I just don't. While they've got some good players in there, Sablia and Babaji, they can do it on their day. Probably not as consistent as what they should at this level, and they brought in a striker who scored a hell of a lot of goals last season, Eddie Simon, who scored 34 for Kingstonian, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think they need a lot of recruitment in the defence. They've lost some big names in Ronnie Nelson, Jamie Fielding, and I think Tonbridge are going to be one of those sides that maybe last year or 2 years ago would have quite comfortably just about stayed up. But the strength of it this year, I just can't see how they compete in terms of the bulliness of everyone else's recruitment.
Now, talking about
We'll
teams,
skip the next one.
Yeah, seriously though, outsider's opinion, I look forward to this one, and Torquay United.
I mean, I've predicted them to win the league.
Yeah.
I think, frustrating as it was last year for you guys in terms of missing out on goal difference, what an incredible job they did.
Yeah.
That was a
amazing.
brand new squad last season.
Yeah.
He got them together. Yes, I think the question marks have always been there in terms of style of play.
Yeah.
But weigh that up with success in maybe at the end of this year. If he got you a second place last year and wins you the league this year, who cares?
And I know that it's also about he just wants to get the best out of his team. He said, as he to quote him on Talkie Talk yesterday, he would play lovely passing football all the time, but he just has to get the best out of his team. And with an improved midfield, hopefully we can see more of that.
And exactly that, with players that have come in now like Dennis and Dolan, and you've still got Jordan Young, and why would you not be playing some really good football next season? It's really exciting.
Dylan Morgan is an amazing pre-season as well. He's like a new signing.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy the strength that Torquay have got at this level, and I think when you weigh it up with clubs that will probably challenge at the top with you guys, they're quite new in terms of bringing everyone together. You've got the solidness at the back of Dreyer and Dyer, and there's just so much there already, and you've just added that bit of quality into it.
Yeah.
The question mark will be: will these players cope with the pressure of being favourites every single week? And improve that away form.
Yeah, we cannot go like as long as we did without an away win. That's very interesting. Right, 2 more to go. Weston-super-Mare. What do you make of their chances this year?
I think much the same. I think not many ins, not many outs for Weston. Obviously lost a big player in Dylan Kadji who moved to the National League. He's a very good player, but they've kept hold of people like Sam Pearson's. Interesting to see how Britton and Waite get on this season up front, because they're 2 players that I think can give them a lot of threats. But yeah, what were they last year? Just outside the playoffs, weren't they? An 8th, and I can see maybe mid-table. I don't think there'd be one of those clubs that go completely backwards and have a relegation battle, because I think the squad's too strong. Players like Luke Coulson and like I said, Sam Pearson, there's no way they'll struggle. And they brought in Michael Smith while he's getting older, right back. He's definitely quality.
Experience,
So I think Weston will be fine, but I don't think we'll be having too many conversations in terms of they're in the playoff picture or the relegation picture.
Last but not least, very interesting one, Worthing.
Yeah. They've been in the playoffs ever since they've been promoted, haven't they? A few years ago. They're always a strong side. Last year they lost Pearce and Felix. This year they've lost Cashman. Um, my original prediction, I had Worthing down in 9th and 10th, but I think when you really look into that squad, they've got so many goals in there still. Brad
Yeah,
Dollahan, who's come back in from West Ham, who was there 2 years ago, exceptional player. If I'll be very surprised if he doesn't hit a minimum of 20 this year. And
yeah,
Odekanyero, if they keep him fit, a big goal scorer again. So I think Worthing have got a very good squad, full of quality. I think they'll be within that playoff picture again. I don't think they're probably as strong as some of the others to maybe challenge for top spot, but
yeah.
they'll definitely be in and around it. And no one likes playing Worthing because they're such a
No.
good side.
Well, there we are. Wow. Darren, amazing job as per usual. We'll do a few more of these definitely this year. Hopefully we can get Harry in as we go along.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, It'll be very interesting, 5, 10, 15, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's been any last things to add? Any predictions, maybe for the first game of the season? Any scores that games to look out for you? And what are you going to any of them as well?
Yeah, so I'm going to Dagenham v Ebbsfleet on Saturday.
Oof,
So I think, what a huge fixture to kick the season off. Two of
that
the
is
favourites
huge.
going head to head. So, I'll be looking forward to that. And then I think the week after, I'm at Farnborough. And then down to you guys at the end of August, hopefully for the Torquay Dover match. I just think this league this year, we haven't gotten Ebbsfleet from 2 years ago,
No,
or we haven't got a Yeovil that came down. We've got clubs that it's going to be so tight, and I think
yeah.
with 4 or 5 games this season, it won't be clear who's going up or who's going down. I don't think, which is just makes for an exciting league.
I hope the relegation battle, even though technically it went to last day, like since Albans let us down, but I
It,
hope
it,
it's more.
it felt like it was done for a long
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
didn't it?
exactly. I feel like I hope from the neutral point of view that
Mm.
as great as promotion battle was, obviously took away a lot of points from the relegation. So, I mean, I hope
Yeah,
a certain team begin with T that's not Tonbridge win the league by 20 points, but it's not gonna happen.
AFC
So,
Totton. Yeah,
yeah, and then you see an amazing, yeah, yeah, and you see an amazing relegation battle personally, but. No, as much as I have predicted Torquay to win the league, it's going to be a lot harder. We're going to put a lot better than last season.
mm.
And there's going to be a lot of very interesting, surprising results as ever. And bring it on. I'm excited. I am
Good,
excited.
good for you.
Thanks, Darren, and we'll see you soon.